Well, here we are again, trying to do a little bit different than just the all right. Okay, so I don't think people have learned the lesson of the Tumblr or the Gabs or the Telegrams or the anything else. People think that censorship of Facebook is going to change something. No, it isn't. I would argue that this is just the beginning, and there will be more limitations on the internet, definitely. But I think that people are creative. I think people are resourceful. So they'll go back to the older days, or they'll go to the dark web. I think. I don't know anything about that, but I'm sure that that's what people are going to be doing. And you can have VPNs and everything else, and you can have chat rooms where you can spurg out. I do believe that. So when I see people who criticize, or they say that, well, yeah, the government needs to come in and censor Facebook or whatever, it's like it's just boomers on Facebook, pretty much. Millennials in general just go there to talk to their mom or something like that if they live across the country. I mean, maybe not, but the thing is, though, it's not going to change that much. Google is going to start, putting in more, you know, information. They're going to share more information. So that's going to be an issue. What I would say, though, is back to my original point, is that when Tumblr started to put limitations, what happened? They went to Twitter, right? When YouTube started to kick people off, what happened? Well, they went to places like, they went to Odysee, right? Eventually, like I say, or they went to censored.tv or wherever else, right? And they migrate to these other areas. Now the thing is, what they want to do is stop the majority of people from seeing these evil far right things, right? They want to do that. To me, it's very, very like I said, this is the classic thing with the government, though, is that they don't really give a shit about trying to stop everybody. They don't claim to. They don't intend to. Like I said, this is the same thing with cops. They intend to stop every single drug dealer on the street. No. It would be impossible, right? And of course, the thing is that you do more research into something, then it may end up hurting your job. So you don't arrest everybody. You arrest the big fish, right? You see it in TV shows all the time, right? They're going for the big fish, so to speak. The big ones that are making illegal money. That aren't, basically, they aren't juiced into the system, if you will. All right? It's the same thing with censorship. They just need a couple patsies to take down. And bazinga, like I say. The thing is, I think it's ridiculous after the years of Facebook Live where, like I say, you see people shooting each other, this and that, or, hey, look at me, I've got a gun and all this sort of stuff. And you see them shoot people. But now suddenly, because of, January 6th, where they planned everything, it's pitiful. It's virtue signaling, and it's a cheap ploy. I'm trying to look beyond this because I try, and you may say I fail at this, but I try not to promote just fear mongering because that's a common complaint of right wingers, right? That we're all fear mongers, that we promote fear about these subjects. You're going to die tomorrow if you don't do this. I don't really promote that. But the thing is, though, is not much is going to happen with this, at least at first. There will be limitations, but I think the smarter people will find ways around it, right? The same thing with Twitter. Is that people found a way around it where it's like, if people got banned or if they got locked, their accounts locked because of retard, they simply just, press star, R star TARD, right? To send, so that you couldn't tell what it is, or they do like redacted and stuff like that, right? People found a way around it, or they just didn't post stuff that was, didn't where they said the N word straight out and everything else like that. They just, or they found places that they would allow to, like post, POA.st, right? Yeah, that post.com or whatever, right? So it's like, to me, this whole idea of censorship is just a sense of let's keep things under wraps. But the thing is, though, people, like I say, I just heard, I'm just going to admit it. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I mentioned him, but I'll say it now in 2 videos that I've said today. But I saw Vosh give his embarrassing defense of, well, the government needs to regulate Facebook because I don't want to live in a world where the far right, where we don't prevent the far right from taking over and all this sort of thing. Well, the far right is going to do all this. It's like, yeah, okay. I have no doubt that, if the TRS boys ever took control, that they wouldn't, do censorship as well of like Jewish propaganda or whatever. It's like, yeah, I have no doubt about that. The thing is, though, is that they probably would take power in the first place, but that's a whole other issue. The thing is, though, is that this is eventually going to affect him. It's eventually going to affect them. And it's not going to stop. I mean, if you genuinely think it's going to stop right-wing propaganda, you're a fool. Because the thing is, you can go ahead and say that Medicare for all is popular, or say that some left-wing things are popular. But the thing is, though, is that what Vosh and others have tried to do, and I think, but they've ultimately failed at to a point, is that they have tried to distinguish themselves from tankies, and to say, well, we don't represent that Soviet Union type left wing stuff. We just want, we like money too. Like I said, we've literally heard that from people like Hassan Piker. Socialism is about making as much money as possible, and all this sort of thing. And the thing is, what it does is it just alienates people. The thing is, though, is that they also want to continue on with their edgy bro type stuff, where it's like, yeah, it's okay to rob that store and stuff like that. That's cool. Nobody, whether they're left wing or right wing or anything else, people don't want to hear that. Or it's like, oh yeah, it's perfectly okay to steal from a store or this and that. Stealing is based, bro. And I genuinely, people are going to do what they're going to do. But I don't advocate for that. I'm just going to put it that way. I think stealing in general is cringe, because I've done it myself. If you can't earn it with your own sweat equity, then don't bother. And that's not really a capitalist thing. That should just be a normal moral sense type of thing. People try to make it a moral issue, though. That's the whole thing with stealing, where it's like, well, they can't afford things because it's a capitalist system. So if they want to steal a TV, it's perfectly okay. That's some very murky moralist arguments, in my opinion. And it comes from very bad faith. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. The thing is this censorship stuff benefits the right, I would say. Because they can say, once again, I mean, if you really want to say that fascist virtue signal and that right-wingers, are the ones that are persecuted, that feeds into their complex. That gives them ammunition to say, well, look at what happened to us on Facebook. It's the same thing with Alex Jones, right? When he got kicked off all these different platforms. And yet he's still making money because people are still following him. What is it? I think it's, censored.tv or whatever? I think it's, no. I get it mixed up because I know that's the one with Gavin McInnes. Sorry. But now he's got his own website where, he uploads stuff up there. So you can find it there. Ironically, of course, Nick Fuentes, I think, joined him. But my point is this: is that censorship just feeds into the narrative. The thing is that do you think censorship worked in the Soviet Union? Ultimately, I would say no. The thing is, you had samizdat and everything else. Once again, it feeds into the narrative that's already there. You know, you're just feeding into it. That's all you're doing with censorship. If you want to censor Facebook, go for it. Because guess what? Like I say, it'll only affect boomers and shit like that. But the boomers who have been moved over, like I said, you can go ahead and censor Facebook all day. But the thing is, though, if, you know, I mean, the biggest sort of influencer and the thing that really changes people's minds more than anything else is real life. Are the left wing folks, the Voshes or the people influenced by him, are they going to be the ones that are on the street to talk to you? Or are the people that are influenced by maybe more libertarian views or maybe even, full on like far right Nazi views? Chances are it's probably going to be like the far right, Nazi person is going to be there. That's the whole thing, man. It's about on the ground stuff. There's no, like I say, this is why, I mean, in general, I can believe some left wing ideas, but the thing is, the people that promote them are stupid. That's the whole thing. I can believe to a point where it's like, yeah, Medicare for all is a good idea. And, a living wage, yeah, that's a great idea. I think everyone that isn't a complete, capitalist sort of, capitalist minded person who's just like, there shouldn't be a middle wage, there shouldn't be a minimum wage or whatever, But the thing is, though, the people that promote it are morons and LARPers. You know, the people that promote right wing ideas are morons. The people that promote left wing ideas are morons. And more to the point, they are just LARPers who are stuck in this idea of what it should be. People like, Jason Unruh, who has like a BB gun that, an AK-74 is a BB gun and decides to pull that out on stream. Feels you want to, and, it was a funny joke um, when CT did it to Haas, but it was LARPing when Jason Unruh did it, where it's like, let me pull it down. It's just like he had it there ready as a prop. You know, that's what, like I say, I just, maybe some of this will change and people will be influenced by, some of these folks. But from what I've seen is that it just doesn't exist the way, these people do not have the influence they think you think they do, I mean, boomers will simply go back to the radio. They'll go back to, or they'll find something else, And the thing is, until Facebook bans links to like an Odysee video or something like that, then they're just going to go further down that pipeline. If you really want to follow the logic of folks who want to talk about the far right pipeline, I don't know. I don't know if this is salient or if it's just ramblings at this point, but it's just censorship doesn't work. I'm just going to put it that way. Censorship doesn't work. Because eventually, somewhere along the line, something's going to come out. Whether it's Eminem trying to be censored, by saying he shouldn't say these things. Eventually, people found out when, I'm trying to think of the song now, on I'm Back, where he says, I take 7 kids from Columbine, stand them all in line. Because they took out they weren't even mad at everything else, but he, I take from stand them all in line, I mean, how long was it for people to realize, it's like, I take 7 kids from Columbine, stand them all in line. Censorship doesn't work. It just doesn't. People find out, what things really go on. It didn't work on the Soviet Union, not as effectively as people think, and it won't work here. And it's not even me being like a libertarian saying, "Oh, no censorship." What it's like, yeah, some things. The thing about censorship is this, and I said it already, but I'll say it here again, just to make sure I'm crystal clear. Censorship is meant as a big net. It's a big net to capture to capture the vast majority of people. Some things are going to get through. That's just how, I'm just going to use the term, but human nature is. It captures the majority. But those few people can seep through, and those few people can try to talk to the majority who are still there, right? Anywho, I hope that made sense. Things are going to happen the way they happen, but I really don't think it's going to be as bad as people say it is. Anywho, that's all I got. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed that. See you later. Goodbye.